So Singapore as a lion city. So let's have a brief history. Why is it being called a lion city? Singapore, known as the Lion City, gets its name from the Malay words Singa, which means lion, and Pora, which means city. So if we combine those terms, we can come up with the word Singapore. And also, Singapore is also known for their merlion, as you can see in the picture. So that serves as their trademark sa ilang country and also their kanang tourist spot. So, if people kay makakita ang mga tao og merlion, maka-visualize dayon nila nga national tree is Singapore. Next. So, four. So, they total of 6 religions. One is Buddhism, first of it. So, kaning Buddhism, they are following the whole of Next. Christianity in uh, sila which is maybe na it is sacred scripture. Next. Next is Islam. So 14% Islam is on one God, which is si Allah. Taoism and folk religion, 10%. So it is a Chinese religious tradition which they are following or the writing of Lao Tzu. Next. Hinduism, 6.5%. So si Hinduism siya, India's tradition siya which defines their way of life. Next is John Maryland City, 6%. Ang one siya, believe in on one God, which they call the and then none. So kaning none, mo ni sila mga citizens, mga tao dito nga wala sila religion na ginisunod. So medyo daghan-daghan siya pun siya because it consists of 18.5% as a whole. So next. So this is the kanang view Singapore really looks like. So as you can see, dira sa kilid na legend, dira ilahang country boundary, major road, other road, river, tapos seaport nila na sila'y tulo, airport nila kay na sila'y duha, and the rest is kanang water body na. So this is the present economy of Singapore. So as of 2021, the GDP or the gross domestic product is about 379.71 billion estimated US dollar. So kanang GDP, mauna siya ang total value of their goods being produced and services being produced within their geographic location sa ilahang country. So, as you can see, dako kayo ang ilahang GDP if we see it in a small country. One, amazing lang kayo siya nga sa inana kagamay nga country na high kayo ang ilahang GDP. So, next. JNI sa finger is ang ilahang national income. So, as of 2020, ang ilang JNI is 411.8 billion Singaporean dollars. Total amount of kanang money nila na na-earn nila within their nation's people and also their businesses, whether it's inside their geographic boundary or sa ilang location or mga sa abroad nila nga businesses. So, that's JNI nakakuan na below. So, natay question, why is Singapore ang ilang economy is high when the resources are gamay lang kay di ba gamay man ang ilahang country. So the answer for that is ang top mga services would Singapore accounting, cybersecurity, human resource, marketing, sales, tapos ako sila yung help desk. So, as you notice, na sila yung help desk, no? So, here in the Philippines, mura lang na siya natugpuan ka ng information. But sa ilaha, dako kayo na siya o salang ni because they are kuan ka ng center sila sa tourist help desk nga job is kuan ka na sa laha, importante kay nga job. So, next. Next is the crime of the Singapore, which is based overall crime rate in Singapore from 2020 kaning chart na naadere based siya sa per 100,000 population. So as you can see, low kayo ang ilahang crime rate, no? Wala lang man jud nakaabot og 1,000 every 2 eggs per 100,000 population. So why does Singapore have a low crime rate? So to sum it up, because of the combination of two factors, their effective and strict implementation of their laws, and the second one is the people. So makaingon jud ta nga strict ang implementation sa ilang law dito na kay for example kanang ilahang mga bubble gum good na ang bubble gum example kanang purchasing of alcohol nila pag beyond kung ano siya curfew na kanang 10:30 sa gabi mo na ang ilahang kuan dito. So mahadlok ang mga tao violate og mga anak nga mga mga kuan prohibition kay it is because dako kayo ang fines na ilahang ginahatag. That is what never yun sila nag-violate anak. Scared sila mo violate og inana. So unsa na lang if ang crime nila kay dagko kaayo nga buhaton or mga serious kay nga crime, so labaw na mas grabe ang mga penalties na ilahang ginahatag. So in Singapore, a safe country, so we can say nga yes, it is one of the safest country in Asia, and it is because kanang they have a very low crime rate. That is why citizens nila dito kay feel very safe gid kaayo sila. So next. Next is the political system of Singapore. So a brief history. Singapore was first established become on August 9 in 1965. So this is what I've said earlier na separate sila to become an independent and sovereign state. So ang founder sa modern Singapore is si Thomas Stanford Raffles. So state governor, mas nakilala din siya as the modern Singapore. Constitution by the structure and organization of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the government. So, the executive or muna siya si president, which is ang head sa ilang state. Si legislative, which is si prime minister, ang head sa ilang government. And the judiciary, muna siya si chief justice, which is ang head sa Supreme Court and sa ilang mga state courts. Next. So the government of Singapore is a multi-parliamentary system, representative democracy. So katanggi na kanina, si president ang ilahang head sa ilahang state, si prime minister ang ilahang head sa ilahang government. So election held once every 5 years. People vote for their candidates. So their citizens there have a freedom na mo select kung kinsa ang ilahang gusto nga candidate. And then the candidates with the most votes will serve as a member of MP, the member of parliament, legislator, which is katong mga nagabuhat sa laws o naga-enable sa mga laws sa Singapore. And then si Prime Minister, naga-form siya sa government. So siya ang nag-approve sa mga agenda, nagatanaw sa mga government's general policy, tapos naga-set up sa cabinet committees, tapos such as mga national population policies. And then next is, so according to the URA, or the Urban Authority of Singapore, Singapore is being categorized into 5 regions, so which is the North, West, Central, East, and Northeast. So next. Now let's proceed to criminal justice system of Singapore. So the CJS Singapore is composed of 4 pillars: the police pillar, the prosecution pillar, the court pillar, and the prosecution or the prison pillar. So now let's proceed to the first pillar, which is the police pillar. So the main police force in Singapore is the Singapore Police Force. So Singapore Police Force has been entrusted to prevent, deter, and detect crime to ensure the safety and of Singapore. So the constitution of the police is divided in some force A, which na-approve siya sa 1957. Okay. So next. So the structure and organization of the police force in Singapore are based on the staff and line structure similar to the military. So na sila two structure of police sa Singapore, which will be tackled later. So in addition for that, ang ilang police force sa Singapore na ay nasilay kanang motto nga Sitya Ban Bhakti, which means loyalty and service. So next. So mao ni ang ilang police sa Singapore. Balik sa picture. So as you can see, neat kaayo tanawon ng ilahang mga police dito. Kung kuan naman dili sa discrimination ha, pero kung ato siyang ikuan sa Pakistan sa ilahang uniform sa ilahang mga police dito, kay lahi lang kaya ang ilahang differences. Kayo lang differences. So next is the Singapore Police Force hierarchy. So the highest ranking police officer sa Singapore is Commissioner of Police. While diri sa ato sa Philippines ang atong higher ranking police officer is ang Police General. While ang lowest ranking naman sa ilahang police force dito is station inspector, while here in the Philippines, patrolman and patrolwoman. So kanang mga station inspector mao na siya ang mga kanang na-assign lang sa mga stasyon nilang ang mga kuan ng mga sana kanang police station nila dito sa Singapore. So next. So mao ni siya ganina akong gingon. One of the structures sa ilahang police force is the staff structure and organization of police force in Singapore. So kani sila ang mga nagbilog sa staff sila ang nag-deal sa mga special police services and also sa mga police requirements, sila na ang naadira na assign. So ang nasa staff departments kay mga administration and finance, criminal investigation, operation department, police custodial, police intelligence, public affairs, mga naadira sa services. So next. So another structure of police force in Singapore is the line structures and organization of police force in Singapore. So mo na pud sila responsible kanang mag-perform the basic and the regular police services, which includes maintaining of law and order, ensuring the safety and performing the regular patrolling at the public places. So mao ni sila murag sila ang na-assign sa field. So kabilang diri sa line units kay ang land units, Agmo KU Police Division, Bedok Police Division, kung mabasa man nimo diri, so Airport Police, mo na sila kana nasa chart. So next. So let's proceed to the process sa ilahang police. How they stop, apprehend a police, a suspect. How they stop and apprehend a suspect. So a police officer may arrest a person without warrant for any feasible offense. So sa ilaha, kung ma-receive na nila ang complaint, tapos there is a reasonable suspicion and also when illegal behavior is being discovered, like for example, kanang nangawat. So, halimbawa, dakpa na siya, tapos dala-dala niya yung mga kinawat, pwede na siya i-arrest without warrant. Kay, naadjud sa iyang kamot, hawak niya ang iyang mga ipangkat. Just like here in the Philippines, ang police auto may he has a probable cause to believe, based on facts or circumstances, that the person to be arrested has committed it. Same lang getting sa Philippines. So according to the section I code or the CPC, an officer can make an arrest for an unfeasible offense if the accused refuses to identify himself or herself on the demand. So, kaning non-feasible offense, mo ni sila ang mga offense read og warrant, but si police officer allowed japon siya arrest japon ana if that accused, especially when an individual kay wala sila nag-carry og ID nila, and also gi-refuse nila na i-provide ang ilahang identity sa police officer. So next is the decision to arrest. So it is made by confining a person to be arrested unless the person submits to custody by words or action. So an arrest can be made with or without warrant. So the CPC, according to the CPC, or the Criminal Procedure Act, which is nag-prescribe sila og various mga circumstances under which police officer can arrest without the warrant. Example jud ani kay kanang mga wanted gud na mga individual sa law. So halimbawa kung ikaw kanang labaw na kanang mga criminals na naa na sa newspaper, sikat na kayo, nasa mga news. So kung ikaw nga tao makita mo siya sa dalan naglakaw-lakaw, di man siguro na nimo siya kung ano no. Di man siguro mo siya pasagdaan na magkuan dira. So ikaw nga private person, hindi mo na siya i-arrest. Next, kay ang ilang search and seizure. Then, an officer can search an arrested person without a warrant. And according to Section 125 of this, in the case of feasible offense, searching any place for documents and other pieces of evidence that are necessary for the investigation are permissible. So, dira sa ilang mga police cantonment complex, Clementi Division, Sengkang Neighborhood, police center, and daghan pa kayo nga mga police stations. A total of 20. I-click bagod na yung mga picture. Mao na ilang mga police stations. So, next, the availability of police. So, feature Japanese sa ilahang police dito. So, na sila yung marked and unmarked cars, which is a total 114. Next. 231 station wagons, 211 motorcycles, 230 schools. So, siguro, as we can see, di ba, daghan kay sila og mga automobiles nga kuan sa ni nagatuyok sa ilahang country. So ikaw nga citizen dra mataha na lang jud ka nga mobuhat og kay murag para sa imuha daghan kay mata mga nagatan-aw sa imuha no nga anytime pwede ka dakpon. So next. So they are also have equipped with a combined operation room COR. Mo ni siya ang serve as their main command sa ilang nerve center and so a call distribution system. Mo ni sila nag-handle sa mga emergency calls. So kana siya kuan kayo ka ng active kayo ang ilahang call distribution system maong dali kay sila maka-respond if na ay crime or offense na nahitabo within that area. And also, for their weapons, na sila automatic handguns, rifles, bulletproof vest, smoke screens. So, dili lang na mawala mga weapons, daghan pa, wala na ako na-include. Pero, muna siya ang mga features, mga vest features na nasa ilang point. So, muna ilang mga pulis, i-click lang na. Muna ilang mga pulis sa Singapore. Diba mga kuan kayo? Snappy kayo. Okay.
So I am Jericho Suarez and I am going to report to you the prosecution pillar. So I'm going to present it now. So this is now the prosecution. So the prosecution of Singapore. So rights of the accused. So just the same here in the Philippines, the innocent, the accused is presumed guilty unless proven otherwise. So the way the court system and the dispense of justice operates here in Singapore is has very resemblance to their English ancestors. So, bantong masabta na to nga, ang proseso sa prosecution sa Pilipinas, sa Singapore, kay maura kay bali, isa ra siya gibasihan which is ang English court. Sumuto siya. So, the same lang gihapon. The accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty. And the accused also is, we have a guaranteed right to have a lawyer or a consultant. So, next, is the rights of the accused. So, moto siya kung ganiha. So, they have guaranteed right to be defended by a legal practitioner. So, pwede sila mukuha og lawyer para mo tabang sila silang kaso. Kung dili pod sila pwede nga ingon mo nga sila sala unless it is proven otherwise. Moto siya. So, next will be the preparatory procedures for bringing a suspect to trial. So, muna siya. The same lang yapon sa Pilipinas. In minor cases, an officer will go to the scene of a crime. So, for example, naiga-report nga kaso. So, ang police dito sa Singapore, they will respond immediately. So, siya, imbestigahan nilang kaso, unya, pag masakpan nga na nabuhat, ilang i-arrest ang kuan. Idalaon nila bali. I-keep nila in custody ang alleged offender. So, siya, upon the completion of investigation, the prosecutor will initiate the criminal prosecution and the case will be prepared for trial. So, siya, after ma-investigahan, magyapon sa same lang yapon, nagyapon prosecutor, which siya mag-serve as mangita siya ganang ginatawag na itong substantial evidence ba to prove bitaw that a person has committed a crime. So, yan na siya, the same lang yapon sa Pilipinas. After investigation, there comes the prosecution. So, pag masuccessful sa na-prosecute nga nagid say sala, then ang kaso ang case kay ma-elevate siya into the court. Siya. So who are the officials who conduct the prosecution? So dito sa Singapore, ang official nila nga murag siya gid ang main bitaw nga ginatawag na to nga mo conduct sa prosecution kaya lang attorney general. So kining attorney general nila dako ini siya position dito sa Singapore kay bali siya ang nag-serve as a legal counselor for the government. So kung mayong kag legal counselor, sila ang nag-guide sa government sa mga decisions nga kailangan nila i-undertake. For example, bilateral or multilateral agreements between different countries and parties. So bali ang kanang attorney general bali siya mo tambag sa kuan na prime minister kung unsay buhaton. Aside from that, ang attorney general napod siya pod ang mukan. Siya ang pinaka greatest nga prosecutor dito sa Singapore bali. Kung mo decide siya nga ang isa ka sala, wala ni siya ikuan substantial evidence para isa ka sa trial, wala dyan mahimo ang court ana. So inana ka powerful dito ang attorney general. So mo to siya as of present ang attorney general sa Singapore kay si Lucian Wong. So next is the bail procedure. So when we talk about bail, muna siya ang kanang temporary or conditional release nga ihatag bitaw sa kuan sa mga tao nga gipang imbestigahan. So dito sa Singapore, ang bail kay pwede nimo buhaton ang bail so long as ma-prove nimo na dili ka mo traidor sa agreement sa bail. So while ongoing ang kaso, pwede ka kanang i-set free sa ka, pwede ka mag-conduct sa imong natural business or day-to-day life, provided nga dili jud ka mo gawas sa Singapore o wala po kay buhaton nga kanang mapadugay and dispense sa justice. So ang pamaagi sa Singapore ani kay is either mag-deposit ka og property or substantial amount of money para masigurado gyud nga imong presence nara jud ka sa Singapore while ongoing pa ang imuhang trial. So muna siya ang bail procedure dito bali. Same lang gyapon sa diri sa Pilipinas kay naka-pattern man sa English court system. So muna siya. So next pillar of them is the court. So the Singapore Judicial Court is composed of two tiers, Supreme Court and subordinate state court. So muna siya. So muna siya ang court sa Singapore. Nabahin siya into duha, Supreme Court and subordinate court. So muna siya ang division. So dili na kay nako siya explain pero tagaan lang ta mo background ha. Sa Supreme Court, same sa Pilipinas, diri ang kanang mutakel ni sila og mga sensational cases. So kung unsa to mga bugat kay na kaso, for example kini mga controversial kay siya, diri na siya sa Supreme Court. Ug aside from that, ang Supreme Court pod ang model sa mga kaso dito nga kailangan siya og final verdict. So ang Supreme Court pod sila ang naay final say. Next is the subordinate courts which is composing of district court and magistrate court. So kini sa district court, same ni sa Pilipinas nga pareha atong mga regional trial courts nato. So muna siya. Kung kining magistrate court, muna siya ang kanang court na nag-handle sa mga simple lang na mga violations. For example, kanang mga disputes lang sa atong mga silingan. For example, kanang naiilog-ilog sa kuan, sa property sa mga gulayan, sa mga prutas. So, dira lang na siya mabilong sa magistrate court. Kanang sa district court, medyo taas-taas siya gamay. For example, kanang may mga murder, kanang mga criminal cases sa kawat-kawat na medyo ginagko na siya. So, dira sa district court. So next, so muna siya ang picture silang Supreme Court bali. Nindot kayo marasag palasyo no. So dako ka sila budget nga gialat sa ilahang mga korte. Ako ni siya ang judges. So sa ilang Supreme Court, it is composing of 25 judges and including the Chief Justice. So sa Pilipinas, there are like 15 judges lang, including one Chief of Justice. So dito sila 25 kabuok. So ang ila pong Chief of Justice kay gi-appoint dito sa President. So muna siya. Same lang po sa Pilipinas. So bali mapansin ninyo ang court system o prosecution sa diri nga country o sa atua kay same ni sa gamay. So mo po na silang picture sila mga court no nindot kayo. So mo to siya the process. So, same lang gyapon. After na makuan sa prosecutor, mapasaka sa prosecutor ang kanang kuan, ang case, so that na mag-proceed na dayon ang trial. So they will examine and evaluate the conclusion whether the accused is guilty. So nana lang gyapon na siya. So muna silang kuan. These are the following punishment na imong matagamtaman dito depende sa kuan. So sala nga buhat capital punishment. Muna siya ang death nila dito kanang appeal na dito ang death penalty, imprisonment, natural pagkakulong. Caning, kung may caning dito kay korag lapdusan ka og kanang why ibong lawas bunal-bunalan na siya depende na siya sa sala nga imong nabuhat. So fines, bayaron ka og pila imong na damage, probation, nana disqualification from driving. So these are the kinds of punishment na imong matagamtaman dito pag nakasala ka sa Singapore. So next is the correction.
Singapore prison system. Changi Prison Complex. It is described as a high-risk, high-tech, and claustrophobic facilities where prisoners rarely see the sunlight. So, hindi siya na prison kay very close kayo ang facilities niya and also modernized kayo siya na prison. Prison conditions are still inhumane and violate many international standards. Inmates spend 23 hours a day inside their cells. They must sleep on the floor. They act media, work, or recreational activities is restricted. Caning is a common sanction imposed upon who commit aggravate prison offense. So that picture is representation of caning in Singapore. Caning is a form of corporal punishment in Singapore, meted up out and it is applicable to more than 30 offenses but compulsory for a dozen crimes as robbery, drug trafficking, and vandalism. So, mo na siya dito.
Tumuto na report na ang kuan. Tumuto siyang sa correctional facility sa Singapore. Next, we'll proceed to the comparison between the Singapore criminal justice system versus the Philippines. So muna siya among comparative table. Dali ang CJS pillar, Philippines and Singapore. So let's start at the police pillar. So at the police pillar, ang ato adri PNP or Philippine National Police. At sa Singapore, Singapore Police Force. So muna siya. Muna ilang force dito. Ang main difference lang kay ang sa Singapore kay well-equipped kay ilang police force. While sa Philippines kay okay man siya pero compared to Singapore mas nindot yun ang sa Singapore. Pero dili ang bulingon nga ginabatikas na to pero there's still a room for improvement. So for the prosecution, the National Prosecution Service, so muna siya diri sa Plaza Pilipinas, while sila kay sa Law Society of Singapore, Legal Aid, Bureau Registrar of the Supreme Court. Pero kining prosecution sa Singapore under lang ini siya sa Attorney General. So kana siya murag mga instrument lang na siya sa Attorney General. Diri sa tuwa sa National Prosecution Service mo ni siyang pinakataas sa tuwa. So next is the court pillar. So sa Philippines natay Municipal Trial Court, Regional Trial Court, Circuit Court, and Supreme Court. So muna siya ato adri daghang puntag mga klase pero ang sa atuwa lang diri sa Pilipinas ang ato ang mga court kay nabahin siya according to different regions o different municipalities na siya. So bigger region na sila kanang kuan. May mga court dito nga gipambutang. Pero sa Singapore, fixed lang gina lang number silang court bali kung unsa ang kanang klase sa imong sala, dito ka nga specific nga court ibutang. So for example, kung ginagmay lang, dito ka sa magistrate court. Kung ginagko, dito ka sa district court. Kung ang imong kaso kay medyo sensational kayo, kailangan sa kanang kailangan din nga lalum din nga pagbusisi dito ka sa kuan sa Supreme Court kanila o sa High Court ka sa Singapore. So inana ang main difference sa kuan, correct sa court pillars sa Pilipinas at sa Singapore. Next is the correction. So we have BJNP, BUCO, and PPA. While sa Singapore, na sila Singapore Prison Service. So, ang difference nila kay sa Singapore kay medyo well-equipped o high-tech kay lang prison system. While sa Pilipinas kay talaga overcrowded o manana, kulang sa kuan, kulang sa improvement sa facilities, etc. Pero ang nakaaran lang kay sa Pilipinas kay maayo man po ang treatment sa mga pinirito. While sa Singapore, ang treatment sa bali inhumane o injustice tayo ang treatment sila mga prisoner dito. Sometimes na kanang matulog pa gani sila sa salog na bitaw pero sa Pilipinas bali shifting sila may mata sa buntag na po'y mata ng specific nga oras na nagyapon. Pero kumpara kung sa ethical lang mas lamang ang Pilipinas sa ethical treatment pero sa facilities o sa improvement mas lamang ang Singapore. Sumo lang may difference. Next is the community pillar. So sa community pillar, ang muhandle na sa Pilipinas kay mga non-government organizations. Bali sila ang mga itagpaagi para matabangan ang mga piniristo nga makabalik sila sa normal nila nga kinabuhi ug mahimo silang productive citizens again. Bali pero sa Singapore, dili na applicable sila. Bali wala na emphasize dito ang community pillar. So bali kung ikaw piniristo ka after nimo makagawa sa priso as is balik lang sa dati imong kinabuhi. Depende na sila. Walay mo tabang sa mga kung liwaton ba ka or dili. So, depende na sa mo. Sarili na nimo paningkamot after ka makagawas sa prisuhan. Dili para sa Pilipinas nga atin manon card na pag mga treatment inana. So, muna siya ang kuan. Comparison sa Philippines o Singapore criminal justice pillar. So next we'll go to the conclusions.
Yes, Juan. So, in conclusion of criminal justice system in Singapore approach the criminal justice system is underpinned by four fundamental principles. So they have four fundamental principles set as their foundation of their criminal justice system. And these are first, the law and criminal process must be protect society from crime and uphold law and order. So the law they are making and crime process, dapat protektahan ang individual person sa country and it should be maintained, followed, and observed. Second, Due process and the rule of law must be observed, and sentences must commensurate with the culpability of the offenders and seriousness of the offense. So, so every individual who has a legal rights to have a parallel court trial or even the organization or institution, and the conviction and punishment of convicted person must be con- corresponding to the law, and the punishment is based on their action or how it's serious they aid. So the third is the law enforcement agencies must be empowered to discharge their duties effectively. As you can see, ganina no, pag-discuss sa police pillar, their law enforcement na officer kay well equipped kayo, tapos na sila nag-undergo sila training, na sila mga equipment tap which make them more professional. So bantog ilang crime rate kay yun sa kayo gamay. Fourth, equally important, offenders must be given the opportunity to rehabilitate and re- reintegrated into society. So, after sa mabayaran nila ng sentence sa correction, no, they have, na sila organization, murag SACA to, SACA abbreviation nila. Sige lang na ano mo na. Next. So, these are the witnesses of Singapore criminal justice system. Being restricted in correction in terms of work and activities of inmates. So in Singapore, their recreational sa ilang inmates dito is very strict and limited. Unlike sa other countries, like STOA, kay our inmates here is pwede sila magbuhat og clothes, na sila ilang activity ba while they are in the prison. Tapos napon sila pwede mapangwartaan, which kanang di ba sa kung adong mo sa the pickle, naday mo reg vegetable laran digto, baligya nga na digto. Ay nga na dire, unlike digto sila limited lang kayo. Tapos na yung magzumba-zumba dire, so mas luwag atong ay mas nindot atong rehabilitation direct sa digto sila. Next. So the strengths. First is the low crime rate. So as what we show in the chart no, na very low crime rate lang sila, and because of their strict implementation of law and proactively to deter crime. Additional lang na lang ko nakita sa Facebook na post to about Singapore, tapos sa special restaurant to which kanang he used his cell phone and bag as a reservation of the seat. So some other people comment that is the advantage of having a low crime rate. They can have a sufficient budget and police vehicles, weapons, and uniform. So it's already discussed now na they have well equipment, they are funded well. Due to lower crime rates, their jail are not crowded. Yes, because unlike a historia ni Kizel ganina na they have a strict implementation and mahadlok ang citizen dito na unsa kay grabe ang punishment and fine na lang gina kung labag sila.
Now, proceeding to the last part of our report is recommendation. So, the our group has recommended the following. The first is, despite we have our currently justice system, we can also consider the justice system techniques of Singapore, such as their way of handling penalties. Thus, as we compare the way of their techniques of handling the penalties within the Singapore, as we can see in the chart, the crime rate is so low because the penalties and the procedure of the criminal justice system within the Singapore is well organized. Second, we must adopt their court system in terms of categorizing those cases with particular court in order to respond and give an accurate judgment. So, as we compare our our court system within Philippines to Singapore, Philippines is very slower than the Singapore. as we as makabalugay at kay atong court system niya di as tang naya ang process maabot og pila ka years ang uban kay maabot yung wala 20 years makita jud ang resulta mo na that's why we should try to adapt other procedures sa lain laing system sa laing bansa para maka-add kag additional proceedings sa atong system. Now, the last is the facility of the prison. So, as you can see na atong prison diri sa Philippines is more than nagakuha na naga overpopulation na kay tungod sa tungod sa Philippines kay nagakadaghan ng crime. So, tungod sa daghang crime, daghang one overpopulated food. So, in terms of this scenario, we should improve the facilities like na-provide sa mga risuhan, which is nagakuan ko sinaga that the imprisonment is just a rehabilitation of penalties of the offenders so that they can be punished through the law. So that's all for the recommendation. That's all for our report.